Okay. Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. Brought to you live from Silicon Valley, California. Please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks.
And let the madness begin. Way to bring it in, Brian. All right, I love the energy. We're always bringing it at the top of the show.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, I got to say, before the show kicked off today, you were talking a little bit about Tai Chi. I didn't know you started doing that.
I am a sort of a daily, as much as possible, morning practicer of Tai Chi.
You're very much come off as a mentalist and a spiritual based person.
Yeah.
And so that fit.
Much totally fits.
Much like last week when I think Mike Lee said, I could feel your energy that you're a musician.
Oh, yeah. And then at the end of the day, I have this big, beautiful deck with a big, beautiful view, and we're out in nature. And at the end of the day, I'm also in my, ritualistically in my hot tub, enjoying stargazing and the sounds of crickets and frogs and the nighttime, mystique.
You're one with the elements.
I try. I think that's important. You ever heard the term nature bathing? Have you heard this term before?
No.
Any of you guys, Bryce?
Yeah, forest bathing. That's
forest bathing,
for sure.
Yeah,
forest bathing. Okay, yeah, I heard that one.
Okay, same thing. Forest bathing. I'm really into that.
I'm just working on bathing, so.
Well, one step at a time.
Yeah,
baby steps, Brian.
We all have our, our goals in life.
So anyway, how you been?
I'm good. Last week, I didn't really feel good. I think there's a thing going around, and I'm just getting my energy back. Yeah. So those of you who have been kind of hit by flus, colds, man, I'm feeling your pain this past week.
I had it last week, and I had to continue moving. Like I couldn't stop moving, and I was just dragging around. I felt like a zombie.
Yeah. I didn't lay it up either. I'm not one to go on the DL, the disabled list, and so I just powered through it. But see, let me tell you, it hit me across the chin. It was a good one.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so
you're still wearing scars, I think.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry. That wasn't meant to be an insult. That was a joke.
No, that was good. I was actually trying to come back, but again, I wasn't quick with it.
No worries.
All right, we got a great show.
Well,
Brian,
do you want to talk a little bit? Do you have any announcements to make? I mean, we've just been kind of like, we've been bantering. But
I don't feel like I'm top of my game, so thank you for
no worries.
Picking me up, Brian. But I want to ask this of our audience. If you are an investor, if you are a startup, if you are a subject matter expert, and you want to be on the show.
Oh, you're putting out the invitation.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're connected with me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. I would love to consider to have as many people as I know on LinkedIn, the events that we do, Brian.
Yeah.
I want you to know that this door is open, and I want to have those conversations with the good people out there that we're connected with to be on the show.
We would also love to see people engaging, in dialogue on the YouTube channel, right? Like there's a place for comments, and we'd love to hear people's feedback or requests or suggestions for who we can talk to. And while we're talking about YouTube, of course, I think right now is a great time to hit that subscribe button. The subscribes have been inching up, but I would like to see that kind of turn into more of a tsunami of subscriptions.
Yeah.
Like a flood. I really want to see people getting on it right now.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Brian.
All right. And I want to remind everybody we have the IIT 2026 conference coming up. If you want to learn more about that, we have a huge lineup of great speakers. You're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be happening in Long Beach in April. So go to IIT2026.org. Check out all those cool speakers. AJ Thomas and I will be hosting that event. It's a 4-day event down in Long Beach. You're not going to want to miss it if you're looking to build out your ecosystem. But for now, Brian.
Yeah.
I want to welcome everybody. Yeah, I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. That good man over there is Brian Bernasconi. The purpose of this show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own. All right.
Yeah. I think we should prep everybody. I really want to get everybody on board for that in studio. Like I want everybody to say it. I know we did that once. But
a chorus.
A chorus. I want a chorus next time. But we got to do a little before the show. Like, okay, what's within your own. Never mind. Let's move on. Keep moving.
All right, let's bring in our amazing guest. Got two good friends of mine in the studio today. So in pure Silicon Valley impact fashion, I will let them do their intros. We have Chima and Bryce. Bryce, I'll start with you. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, nice to see you. My name's Bryce Gilleland. I work with the California Innovation Fund. We partner with their UC system and Berkeley specifically. We donate half of our carry back to the university to power the flywheel of innovation, as we call it. And we invest primarily in founders focused on impact. So we like to say we target performance with purpose. And then a fun little fact about me is in 2020, I ran the #1 performing hedge fund in the world. It was a crypto hedge fund, and we had 850% returns. So it was really neat. I actually got to make my dad a millionaire that year. He turned into a nicer person. Fun little fact about my dad. So
money always helps, right?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Brian.
Well, no, money can turn people into worse people.
It can.
It can?
It can.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad your dad did that stick. Is dad still nicer?
Yes, he is still nicer
Didn't
to
wear
this
off
day.
after a while after you got used to having money.
Yeah. There's even and hopefully my aunt won't hear this, but one of my aunts, he would always kind of complain about a little things. And after he did that, he was like, you know what? I saw she was struggling. I bought her some groceries and I took her out to dinner. And you're like, what the heck was that? Where was this guy 10 years ago?
I love that, to have that internal dialogue that goes, whatever, I'm rich, and just calms you down.
Yeah.
Nice to have the resources.
Indeed.
I love it. Well, Bryce, it's great to have you here. We're going to dive into what you've been working on, what got you in this. We'll talk about that fund a little bit, wherever this takes us. And again, true Silicon Valley impact fashion. Chima, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. It's about time you've had me on here.
I
made the cool club. I made the cool club.
Maybe,
You are the cool kid.
like Bryce's dad, maybe you just got cool enough to be on the show.
I'm just happy you said yes. Yeah, I'm happy you said yes when I asked you want to be on the show. It's like you fear that. No, I don't want to be on your show, but
Little
glad you're
secrets.
here. Yeah.
Oh, you thought you were going to ask and he was going to shut you down?
You never know, Brian.
Wow.
I host a lot of events, and I ask people how many of you have heard or listened to Silicon Valley Impact. There's this moment of hesitancy within me that I hold my breath, and no hands go up. So it's great to have you here.
Yeah.
Then you let them know they're missing out.
They are missing out.
Subscribe right now.
Yeah. All right, so tell us a little bit about what you're working on, Chima, and let our audience know who you are.
Yeah. I've lived many lives, but I'll just start with my time in corporate ventures with Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, on their innovation and incubation team. And then shortly after, spun off into a smaller VC firm that's focused on digital health investments. Been having fun doing that. Great team. But I will say one, and this is going to happen throughout the whole this whole podcast, but I'll say the one fun fact is I was on an international salsa dancing team.
Oh.
And did a lot of competitions in different countries.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'll have pictures for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the show notes too.
Is there some place we can load up some video right now and see that?
I will find. I think I have some of the videos in my phone. It's somewhere in YouTube. But this is when I was on a team. This like maybe 13 years ago, but I have some of those.
Okay, fun fact.
Pictures,
Yeah, that's amazing.
I love that. And so you're on kind of both. We're going to talk about this as we move on. You're kind of on both sides of the table at this point. You're experience in venture capital, but you also have a startup of your own. I'm hearing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So a lot of ground to cover. Great to have you guys here today. What are you currently working on, Chima? I want to ask you, because I know you've got a lot under your belt.
Yeah. It's funny because before VC, I used to own a health food cafe. So acai bowls. This was in downtown San Jose. And
Wait, Becca, did you grow up in San Jose?
I lived in San Jose for about 13 years.
Okay.
I went to San Jose State and then stayed out there, started the business.
Wait, what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2011.
Did you know Mike Lee?
I did, yeah.
He was on the show
That's
last
my guy.
week. Yeah, he was on the show last week. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Small world, Brian. See, we're bringing worlds together, Brian. Old worlds and new worlds.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley Impact.
Say it enough.
So you were here for about 13 years, and now you're in the
And then after, during COVID, that's when I started teetering away and moving back. And then I went to Europe.
Yeah.
So just to backtrack a little bit, before that, during COVID, I ended up selling my cafe. And then after that, I was like, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to do? And I wanted to go into tech, but my skills were just operating a small business. And, from there, impressive to your network and your people. Like, wow, you started a cafe. But when you're trying to go to a big tech company, I always like to frame it as, I just built a little canoe or a boat. It's impressive to some. But imagine you're going to a mega yacht and saying, hey, look, mega yacht, I just built this little boat.
Yeah.
They're going to say,
Yeah.
that's cute, but what do you specialize in? Because I was used to wearing all the hats. You know, managed people, hired people, sales, everything. And so you have people that are specializing in each thing. Sales, marketing. I didn't specialize in anything. So
what would you say is in your wheelhouse right now?
As far as my...
Yeah, what do you think? So you're specialist. And if I said to you, and I ask this at networking events all the time.
Yeah.
If I said to you, Bryce, I'm gonna ask you this question too. I got a TED Talk slot open for you in 5 minutes. You can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about growing up. You can talk about venture. You can talk about how to ride a bike. What would you talk about?
I would talk about what has leveraged me into what I'm doing every day is the power of network and connection.
Oh.
And I think that something about having some type of characteristic is so important, because we're in a world today where people lead with, what do you do?
And yeah.
And I'd rather know, like, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
Who are you? And I think that in-depth connection is so important.
I can't tell you how many people who have really done well for themselves lead with that.
Yeah.
The social capital aspect to it. So Bryce, same question. Yeah. If I said to you, 5 minutes, you're on TED Talk, what would be yours?
I would talk about empathy and human connection and the connection between like your nervous system and your brain and how that all works.
Yeah.
And how if you, I think, connect on a deeper level, you get so much more out of the conversation, the connection with the other person. And you can even get better answers out of the other people, like more complete answers, because you reduce their nervousness. And so you increase the depth of the conversation. So I love that stuff.
Yeah. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago. We were talking heavily about the EQ process.
Yep.
And if you want to go that route today, if both of you, we can geek out on that. But let's ramp up a little bit. I want our audience to kind of track us where we're going. Again, we can sit here and just shoot it all day long. But I definitely want to ask both of you, what got you? I mean, you talked a little bit about already what you're working on now, but what brought you here? So Bryce, I'm going to start with you. What got you? And by the way, are you a Bay Area native, or did you transition?
No, I've lived here like 15 years total, but I moved up from Southern California.
So what got you into this space? I mean, a lot of people were born into it. A lot of people had a mentor. Others, it was their first career. They fell into it. But what was kind of your path into venture? Where did it all begin for you?
Yeah, I guess I've always liked investing. And then I went to Cal and I did the Haas MBA part-time there. Started the hedge fund while I was there. Moved to Puerto Rico and the hedge fund worked out well. Things were good. And then I kind of took a break. But I stayed in touch with this professor, Kurt Beyer. He's a 15-year professor of entrepreneurship. He called me up a year and a half ago. I was an investor in his first fund, which we started 4 years ago. And so he said he needs a co-GP on fund 2. Mm-hmm. Since I'd done fund stuff, I've always been into investing. I want to say I was a favorite student. I think that's just in my own head. Then he, invited me. And so now a year and a half ago, jumped on this train with him, and I just really love it. I think the ability for venture to make a better world is so inspiring to me.
And so what was kind of your first taste of blood where you did well? You said you liked investing. Was it in college that you got your introduction to it? Was it in the family? Was it, what was that first win for you?
I guess my parents, I remember answering the phone call for collectors when I was a kid. Uh-huh. And I just remember one parent told me not to tell the other parent something. The other parent told me not to tell the other parent something. And I was like, this seems really unhealthy. But here I am, this kid caught in the middle. And so when I started working, I put so much money in my 401k and I just started saving like right away because I was like, I don't want to have this problem. I saw this, my parents are fine, but I saw it struggled in the relationship. So I want to do that. And so I just focused on learning investing and basic investing and all that stuff. Eventually, after you do that stuff for enough years or decades, you want to get farther and farther into it. And then venture is kind of the most forefront, cutting edge, impactful opportunity. And so I think that's how I got here eventually.
I love it. Yeah, definitely. So if you're put in that place and you're telling yourself money would solve this problem, there's kind of this spark with it. No pun intended.
Yeah.
There's see what I did there. I caught that. There's this idea that I better be the solution. And so you had this internal drive to really kind of find the way, essentially. Yeah. I love that. So Chima, same question.
Yeah.
You're in the Bay Area. What really opened the door for you? You got first into entrepreneurship. You clearly graduated up to venture, and now you're going back into venture from the startup side. What was your early introduction that got you into this space?
Yeah, so it was very unconventional. And initially, I was always a builder. I always loved building things from when I was a teenager, and I've lived many lives on doing the. Oh, you're good.
Told you we keep it messy. Yeah.
I'm still trying to track down your salsa dancing.
I will get that video for you.
I'm working on it still over here.
Yeah. I had businesses from doing international concerts. I had before I graduated high school, I had a garbage bin business where I would take out my neighbor's trash and recycling on trash day and charge them a subscription. And I actually did pretty well with that.
Nice.
And yeah, so I saved up money to actually start into my cafe from that adventure. But the idea of venture capital started from the show Shark Tank. And I always sat back, loved that show. And I was like, I want to be like them. And I realized a lot of them had a business and they sold. And then, you have the capital to work with. And then, you've done everything from the experience of an entrepreneur. And now you're there on the side of the investor. So I thought, I need to start a business, grow it big and sell it. And then I thought my cafe would be like the next Jamba Juice. And so after it wasn't
big dreams.
Yeah. You do that for 5 years. I had 2 locations, one in San Jose, one in Sacramento. But you realize how difficult it is. And I was like, in order for me to get to the level of Jamba Juice, it would take so much to capture that audience and build up. So I just said, I'm just going to let it go from where I'm at and just try and build the next thing. I'd say one important piece of my development that got me into venture was I had a mentor, and I need to introduce you to her. She is amazing. She taught me everything I know today. She's a character. Her name is Netta. So she's been a mentor even to today. She's still a mentor of mine. And she witnessed me build my next thing, and it wasn't panning out. It was during COVID, so this was when everything was kind of wonky.
So, just kind of recap for our audience. I love to find the parallels. The reason why I'm kind of leading with this, and we often lead with this with a lot of our guests, is one, you ask, what was the genesis for you?
Yeah.
And you do find that little story, like Bryce, you were sharing, or that drive, like you're sharing, where there's a passion just to build or solve a problem, and it grows into something else. And so you've shared that, and you've both been in your due diligence conversations with people, and oftentimes a lot of investors will say, "Hey, we look for that genesis within the founder." That makes them a little off, because that off is where they create and solve something great.
Yeah.
Often I've, my mentor, John Baird, who was on the show, he wrote a book, and in the book it talks often about how they wanted to, you don't really wish this on anybody, but kind of the genesis of it. You want to see somebody who's really, really struggled with something early in their life. You want that story, because then there's that innate problem solving characteristic within them. And so for those of you who are listening, I asked this question because you see how it builds. Stumbling across a good idea oftentimes, or an opportunity, isn't enough. It's almost like you have to have this internal axe to grind. And that is where the passion comes from, not just being opportunistic. And you see that a lot now with AI, where people are just looking for the opportunity. Well, I want to ChatGPT wrapper this and build this. But then there's this other founder who goes, no, I have been working on this my entire life. I don't care what form this solution comes in. I'm going to solve this problem.
Yep.
And you see that. So let's leap into the future now. At this point, a lot of our audience, again, founders, investors, looking for the edge, subject matter experts. let's talk from the perspective of that passion pursuit. I love the question, why are you doing this? And why do you love doing what you do? So Bryce, I'm going to throw this at you, and then Chima, I'm going to throw this at you. I heard the beginning, and I often believe passion has both sides of it, the pain and the love. They're both. They're interchangeable. They pump this energy into the projects. But for you now, what is it that you love about what you're doing?
Yeah. There's this amazing book called The Way of Integrity by Martha Brooks. If you ever are struggling to find your passion, I highly recommend this book. She went through amazing struggles to find hers. But I did that and then looked, and what do I really want to do? I really want to tenaciously support others in achieving their dreams if their dreams are aligned with a positive outcome, a positive impact. And so with Venture, I get to talk to a bunch of these really brilliant CEOs, leaders, business innovators to help them achieve their dream. And if I can help nudge that along just a little, I can be a part of this much bigger, better mission that's happening. And so that's what resonates really deeply with me and why I want to give my all to this every day.
And so what is it when they come to you, what is it that you look for in a fundable company? Where does it all begin?
I think you were referencing basically like product founder fit. And like, that's a huge thing. Like, why does this person have an itch on their back that's so strong that they can't stop until they can scratch it? Or a problem that's so deep in them that they have to see fixed in the world? That's going to give them the tenacity, the endurance, the stick with itness, whatever you want to call it, to get that thing done and to drive through all the struggles that you're definitely going to run into when you're starting a business. So that's the first thing. The second one is just math. Is it a venturable company? You know, like there's a bunch of amazing companies and amazing missions out there that are not good venture investments because they just don't have that 10x, 50x potential. So if you can find the passion and the opportunity set and they align, that's when I really want to dig in.
Give me a little bit more for our audience, because I believe that people are going to, we were talking about this earlier, Chima, people are just going to launch themselves into it blind anyway. They're going to, no one's going to tell them that their baby's ugly. Like, this isn't going to work. You can show them the math, right? But give us a reality check. What does it mean to not be a venture product and it may just be a lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to start a cafe business, like you could scale that into a venture, but you have to have this insane hockey stick trajectory, and it's exhausting and tiring, and you need the right people and connections. Or you can start a cafe, maybe a few years later have another, maybe a few years later have 5. Like, that's a very normal, extremely good business. So when I talk to students at school and they're really passionate, my first question is like, how fast can you grow this? And do you think you have what it takes to do that? Or do you just really love this and starting a great business? The former owner of the Dallas Mavericks, do you guys know that guy's name?
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, yeah.
I thought he's a current owner.
Oh, he's current still? Okay, I hope so. Anyways, he's rad. He's all about not venture businesses. He's all about organic growth, steady state. I watched a whole masterclass from him on a plane, and he was all about that. It was like, that is a brilliant businessman who's insanely successful, and he doesn't have to go this path, and many people don't. But if you want to go venture, you better be able to sprint for a few years.
Yeah, that's a lot to dig in. So same question, jump in on this, Chima. It's you see a lot of startups that need to that have great ideas, but then there's those ones that are fundable. So answer that one for me. But first, let's go back to the same question I asked Bryce: is what about this venture now that you love? What is it that you look for in a founder and makes them fundable?
Yeah, I think it comes down to being creative, and most importantly, the love for the game. Like, you have to love what you're doing, and you're not just seeking and I think you said it the last episode, seeking a solution and then going for the problem, because it's not there. And I see that a lot with founders, with the rise of AI and whatnot, everybody just scavenging around, just trying to find a solution to something, or find the problem. And in this, it's very common. So it's difficult to find like great companies, or even deciding the difference between people just hunting versus people having the passion to want to be creative or just have the love of the game of building. I love building, and that's my foundation. That's why I went from this idea of being in venture capital now going back into building again, because there's just something fun about the journey.
Yeah, that's so good.
I'll just add, I love people like you because they're true builders. And like, if they've gone to venture, that's like where you graduate, a lot of people think.
Yeah.
But if you've gone there and you've decided it's not for you, and you've gone back, like, you are a true builder.
Oh, yeah.
You just want to get stuff done, and I love seeing that.
And it's a unique perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm just letting you know that it's about time that we say thank you to our sponsor.
Where's the little jingle?
Oh, is that what you want? You just want the jingle?
Shelly called me, so she loves the jingle.
This is kind of new
The
to
ad
us.
fairy.
Talent is your biggest competitive advantage, but only if you hire right. Morales HR is a human-centered recruiting and executive search firm built for today's business demands, delivering curated, high-quality talent when it matters most. From full-time to contract roles across North America, Morales HR connects you to the talent your company needs. Real people, real experience.
We love Shelly.
And now back to our regular program.
Very well said, Brian.
We love Shelly.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's amazing.
And our sponsors just aren't our sponsors; they're our friends. She's been on the show. She'll be back on the show. So again, we surround ourselves
one of
with
the
great
reasons
people.
we're doing this is, we don't want to just play a commercial. We really want people to understand that this is something we believe
This is a
in.
talking point.
This is a belief of the show.
Yeah.
This is part of our DNA.
We talk a lot about talent, and we continue to talk about a talent here.
Well, and we talk about founder fit and product fit and everything, and we just we're well aligned with our sponsors.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
Have
was
I
so
sold
good.
it enough yet?
That was
Can it
good.
be done now?
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
All right,
Morales, let's go.
All right, back to the show. All right. So sorry, Chima. We were talking a little bit about true builders, right? They see both sides of the table. They understand, and I think that insight, I think, is a huge character quality of a great VC and a great founder. Is they can see things from multiple perspectives. And you talked a little bit earlier about empathy. Why is that, or how do you think empathy has been part of your success on the investment side?
I think empathy on a sales basis is really important because you're connecting with the person. Like, what's your risk? What's your issues? What are your risks? What are your worries about that? And can I connect with you and tell you I can manage that, or connect with you and get those out of you and tell you this product's not for you?
Yeah.
And that's really helpful. And then with founders, I think it gets more truth out of them. A lot of these founders, they don't want to fail, and they don't want to admit to failure, and they don't want to tell you about problems that are coming. But if you have that really built up connection with them, they know you're a partner. I'm going to help you solve the problem. I'm going to find people who can help you solve the problem. So tell me, and it's going to be the best for all of us. Also, it's going to get a lot of stress off your chest, which is so helpful for them as well.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier, Chima, is like when you're looking at founders who have this passion, it's not just this high. Talk a little bit about the balance of the founder fit, and continue again. Sorry, you weren't able to complete your thought about what is a fundable startup for you.
I think it comes down to that person's experience, and you said it in the last episode, and this one stood out so well for me.
I said it.
I think you said it.
Oh.
I think I was listening to the
go
audio
ahead.
version.
No, you had it right the first time. Yeah.
There we go.
Of course, Brian said it.
And you said that with, I think it was you, with AI and AI agents, that's like table stakes in this industry. It's like doing a Google search. And if you're somebody who says you're a technical founder and you're building an AI agent and you're still raising capital, my question is why? Because especially if somebody says, we're trying to get more technical talent. I'm like, I thought you're the technical person.
Yeah.
And so I think when I bring it back, for that founder market fit, yes, experience is one, passion is another. Do you see things that others aren't seeing? Or even if there's competition, I like that mindset of, I like those odds. Yeah. There's more competition. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with that, where you're so confident that you can get these things done, it makes me believe in you.
One thing I really like a founder when they identify their competition is they're not just creating them to be the evil empire, and now you're coming along to be the savior. What I really like to hear when I'm hearing the competitive side of the startups competition is what they like about them. So product A, I'm building something, and this competitor A over here is doing X really, really well. But then when you can say, we do X also, but can then go a little bit further. I love hearing that rather than, well, the first red flag is we don't have competitors, right? Yeah. That's the big first one. But to just completely deleg them, like just take them out, I don't think is somebody who respects the game or respects what they're building, because your competition is trying to solve the same problem, right? And you have to assume that you both have the same mission, and that it's like in science, like there's the scientific community. You have to see them not only as a competitor, but a community. Yeah. And there's collaboration opportunities and to building upon each other. Brian, did I say something?
Oh, no, I'm just, all boats rise with the tide.
Yeah.
It's true. One thing I dislike seeing on startup websites is when they have that page to compare them to the competitors. Like, here's them, here's us, here's why we're better. Here's what they do. Here's what we do better. Then the next company, here's them, here's us. This is what we do better.
Empty spaces and X's. They don't do this. Yeah.
It's almost like they're living rent free in their head.
Yeah, it's true. That's such a good thing. Yeah, they're the problem, not what's the problem they're solving.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, Bryce, talk a little. You said earlier you've done really well with the fund you're working with now. Talk about like because I don't think all money is good money.
No.
And I think VCs that are out there nowadays, I mean, there's a rise of VCs. Talk about the rise of agents. There's a rise of VCs, and not all VCs are creating the same. But clearly you have done some things well. We're talking about competition here. Now, VCs are competitive with each other, competition with each other a little bit. We all want to do well for our fund. But talk about what you think you've done to position yourself well to get the recognition that you've gotten over the last few years.
Yeah, I think one of the...
Don't be afraid to flex a little bit.
All right, well, so Kurt's the founder of this, and he's a 15-year professor of entrepreneurship. So we are deeply connected across the entire UC Berkeley campus. And UC Berkeley is #1 in the world for startup founders. There's over 1,500 a year coming out of the school, which is impressive. We finally beat Stanford 3 years running now. We're so excited. But we have deep connections with all the professors and labs across campus, all the research facilities. LBNL, Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, is literally on the hill right behind us. So we're seeing some of the world's best scientists and best research come out, and we can go to those best scientists and best researchers and say, hey, why is this technology good or bad? And so I've been on a campaign to get to know as many professors and department leads as I can. And I go, one example was I talked to one, and I was like, hey, here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find deal flow. We want to support it. We want to do this so we can create more impact in the world, because commercialization is what creates the actual impact. And he was like, cool, I got this one student. He has this rad technology. He's not confident enough to start his own company, but you should talk to him because he's probably a world leader in that. I have this other student who is overly confident, and you should ignore what he's saying. And so we get that level of insight across the campus, and we have literally world leading experts. There's more Nobel laureates out of Berkeley than any other university. So that's where I think we have just this game changing level of technology and community. And why is Silicon Valley Silicon Valley? It's because people come together and it's community supporting each other, really helping, as opposed to East Coast is more finance. It's either mine or yours. This is, we can all build it together. So we really lean into that community view, and that gives us more deal flow. That gives us more research. That gives us more support once we do invest in the startup. And I feel like that is why, we have a real edge.
And so
nice, dude.
Yeah, that was good. And so what I'm hearing is a lot of time and diligence goes into your decision-making process.
Oh yeah.
And so if other VCs were listening, and those, they obviously use their own strategy. They all have their own playbook, and not to completely, pull back the curtain on what you guys do, but for the founders, when they would go through a due diligence with you, clearly you're going to bring in your subject matter experts, but what else should a startup be considering when they're stress testing their ideas?
I think like you guys said, the competitors in the industry, that's just huge. Who's ahead of you? Why are they ahead of you? Can you catch up, or do you have a different angle that makes you more competitive. And then, why are you the person to do this? Back to like the product founder fit. But we have some people where we're like, that's literally the best researcher in the world at this thing. Of course, we're going to want to support that person. And then we have to check, okay, do they have the business skills to do that? Or are they going to be good? So making sure you really have a rounded thing. And what, a simple test we like to do is like the 4 whys are like, you just keep asking why something works until you get them unable to answer the question. And if I can get to a point where I can answer the question and they can't, that founder is not going to make it. Because they better be better at all that stuff than me. We're looking across a wide range of companies, and they're just really focused on this one thing.
So, Chima, I'm going to come to you in a minute, kind of like the due diligence process for the founders who may be listening. But I got to ask this question. With the rise of agents and the capacity for individuals to do more, do you think that a solopreneur, right, or solo founder is still kind of dismissed, or do you still feel that they need that team around them? Early stage, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's whatever the founder skill set is. We've seen a few solo founders who just really make an incredible team around them. So they're no longer a solo founder pretty quickly. And then that's where we look for, independence of thought, but also the ability to take feedback. And you got to have both of those, because you can't have someone who just takes feedback. That's not going to work. And you can't have someone who's so independent, because eventually they're going to go off the rails, most likely. And so we need that balance. Like we have this one founder, her name's Kate Dilligan. She has cooler heads. What they do is a scalp cooling technology, so that if you go through chemo, you can keep your hair. So you get to keep your own privacy. It's really cool. She's a solo founder. She's incredible. I would give her money on her next startup without even knowing what it is, because she's that kind of person. And so there's people like that who I think we can really get behind. There's other solo founders, you got to stress test a lot of the issues with them. But I think solo founder is still fine if they meet certain requirements.
Okay. Chima, same question, the due diligence question. When you guys are looking at startups, for the founder who is listening right now, how are you going to stress test what they're doing before you kind of move them on to considering cutting them a check?
Yeah, and just to backpack and also double down on what Bryce is mentioning about the solo founder, because we've seen and dealt with solo founders as well too. And I think it's not so much as the idea that they're by themselves. It's just, do they have a co-founder? As you mentioned, Brian, you can build a team around you. You can have advisors. And I always stress founders to have advisors, at least 3 in different realms. One, especially in that industry, whether if it's via sales, via marketing, or just somebody who's had an exit in that space. It's not hard to reach out. I've had advisors in the past. I have advisors today, mentors and whatnot. And I think that's one of the most important foundations when it comes to your startup, because even if you don't have a co-founder or just someone else on your team, you can still build around you. Now, when it comes to the due diligence piece of a startup, what I like to factor in is like, what's their current status? Like if they are, one thing I hate is when I hear a founder say like, oh, we're in talks with these customers, or we're in talks with, this. Yeah. I'm like, then you have nobody then, if you're saying, oh, we're getting a deal done, we have a contract signed, then that's something. But I think it's, I think when I do that, I look at traction. What are you going to do to get traction, and what is your strategy and plan? So, and that's what I look at, because that's what it just shows, like, even though you may be early, you have a plan of action and what you can do to prove to get there at the end.
And so for both of you, let's double click on that traction.
Yep.
Often investors want to see like really measurable traction, and we can all shake our head. Yes, we do. But are there those other early stage cases where you go, okay, you don't have sales yet, you don't have that traditional, hockey projection of the hockey stick going up. You could, you can put it on a slide if you want to, but let's be honest, how early is too early, I guess is what I'm saying. Or is there that case?
Bryce, would you like to start?
You go.
Okay, yeah. I can speed run this one real quick. The game of startups, fundraising has changed over the past 20 years. Brian, I think during a panel I mentioned this, and I can just speed run this one. The first 5 years in the Facebook era, it was you can raise capital from a pitch deck and a solid team. Then it became raising capital off of an MVP. Then it became growth. And then now growth is not enough. You need to have a path to profitability. You need to have a way to control your costs, your capital burn. And then lastly, financial KPIs, make sure they're strong. But you can have a hyper growth company that you have all these users and subscribers and however we're tracking, but that doesn't amount to anything. Like where are the funds? Because as VCs, we want to know where the return is going to come. You know, we don't want to like a little nice to have. So I'd say, those are things I like to look at, especially if you're early. I just like to see that you are doing things to track how you're going to move forward. Whenever I see on a pitch deck the TAM, the SAM, and the SOM, we don't care about that. You know, like the total addressable market of food is something $1 trillion. I'm like, okay, that doesn't matter. I think we should just get to your service addressable market. Like what are you going to get there? Because the TAM is not going to matter. You know, because you're not going to acquire that much of the market. So that's how I mean, like
contrast is important, right? But you really want to show the path and the strategy. I like that.
I'd say for
good question.
For these investments, I mean, it really depends what your style of investor is. So like we are a seed Series A investor where traction is super important to us, whether that's LOIs, actual revenue, customers, showing up. Or if you're in like biotech or deep tech, it's very weird because you're looking for like scientific traction, which you won't have. And depending on what process you go through, maybe 1 to 5 years for those approvals. So it's very different there. But yeah, we look for that initial traction that we're seeing that, this is a problem that people are willing to pay money to solve and are paying money to solve. And that de-risks it. But it's interesting, I was just on the phone with some startup founders 2 days ago, and they got a deal. They got someone offering them like $200,000 for 7%. Then they had another person offering a deal that would place them at like $4.5 million valuation. And then they were like, well, we really think we're an 8 million valuation, but we're highly thinking about taking these two that would place us at like a 3 or a 5. And so it's funny to see that, but that is the venture world early on is it's an idea and a vision before real traction, and then how much you can sell on that, and then where the market's at. So there's so many different dynamic layers playing in. But when you get to traction, it's nice because then you can actually put some numbers around it.
And then real quick, just to also double down on that, even prior to revenue, if you have a patent or if you have something that's defensible, some moat, that's something strong. If you can get a government grant, that shows something. And I think those are things to achieve that don't take much to get done. Actually, I will say the patent part can cost you some money, but the grant, if you really put time and effort in there and you secure a grant from, depending on what you're doing, yes, we have a focus on health and biotech and everything life science. But if you can get a government grant from like something specifically in that sector, I think that is already enough for us to say, yes, we've done your homework, you've done what it takes for us to even be interested before even revenue.
What is happening?
Oh no.
You're up, Brian.
You know what? Funny thing, Brian. We're talking about stacking talent. We're talking about stacking ideas for the purpose of getting a great outcome.
Yes.
Can I tell you about what's really happening in the East Bay in Oakland?
Please, I want to
talk really quick about Stack Ventures.
Stack Ventures is transforming real estate into full stack ecosystem solutions for East Bay residency and global startups. Backed by Bay Ring Capital and located in the heart of uptown Oakland at 1900 Broadway and 1950 Franklin, Stack Space has 2 towers with 1.2 million square feet of luxury living, event space, resort-style amenities, EV mobility, office space, and access to the biggest startup community in the Bay Area. Check out stackspace.com. That's STAK, stackspace.com. Okay.
The more you know. All right.
That was a great one, Brian. You did well.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I just want to add on the grants and government funding is huge. It also is non-dilutive. So as investors, from a money perspective, it's amazing. And then it shows me you have real tenacity and some amount of creativity to be able to go do that. So like if we see for biotech especially, or deep tech founders, they're getting these grants, military grants, government grants, university grants, like, yes, I am more interested in you immediately.
And that's buy-in, right? You get validation from those who have previously vetted you. But how would you advise a startup to stand out and pursue something like that? Because there's so many different resources around them. They don't know where to go. What insight could you possibly provide for our audience in order to pursue that route, if you knew any?
Yeah, I mean, I would go.
I would say, God, what's the health one? Why am I bumping
NIH?
NIH, yeah, the NIH one. There's directories. You can ChatGPT search this. So just like government grants in this specific industry, what's available. You will get a directory of this. And one thing that I say, it stands out when somebody actually goes that route, because it takes a lot of work to pitch and raise capital. Like just even trying to get a venture capitalist attention, but to put the time in to go after a grant, that time you put in, you have a better chance of actually securing that grant than getting the capital raise, especially in today's day and age. And you now can build traction to get the attention of a VC.
I love that. Brian, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah, what do you got?
I mean, I know we're doing great things with the ad fairy, but are we going to take a quick little break internally so we can get these guys some water?
Hadn't thought of doing that. They don't need
Let's
water.
take a quick little break. Our audience won't even notice, but let's take a quick little internal break, check in, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, one moment.
All right. In real time has elapsed for about 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding. But for you all, it's just a blink of an eye, and we're back again with Chima and Bryce. We're geeking out on all things startup. So if you are a founder, you're going to want to lean into this conversation and a lot of the conversations we have on Silicon Valley Impact. Our goal is to really help you position yourself for success, gain access to great people like here we have on the show. And I guess as I say that to you guys, what is the best way for people to connect with you? I usually ask that at the end of the show, but since we're talking directly to founders today, we go to events, you show up, they find out you're a VC, and it becomes a pitch, right? And you feel like you're just a piece of meat on a hook, and they're feeding. How can a founder best connect with you aside from a warm intro? What comes to mind first?
All right, so it's funny. The last event I was at, I was meaning to say bye to you. The moment we
this is our event.
Last week. And the moment we took the picture all together, I left. I beelined it out of there.
You ran.
Because the last time I was there doing a panel, I was pitched for like an hour, and everybody was upstairs eating, and I was just starving. And so
I got to do better at that. That's my fault.
No, you're good. And I always say,
you got to go be his wingman, Brian.
And I always say, and this is for everybody, the idea of founder etiquette, because just ask, hey, how can I connect? This is what I'm doing. I'd love to get 15 minutes with you.
That would make you memorable.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I remember everybody who does that. Yeah. But when you try to pitch me on the fly,
you just want to escape.
Don't talk to me. And I just want to say, I'm too nice, where I'm just like, hey, okay, that's great. But people are stacking up in line to talk, but it should just be more so, let's connect on LinkedIn, shoot me a message, we'll follow up from there.
Be casual. Just, introduce yourself, ask.
I'm sure Bryce has had the same thing.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's why he disappeared at the last event too. You get just sworn. But what would be some insights for etiquette, Bryce, from your perspective?
Yeah, I'd say, and this gets into like the empathy and etiquette. Yeah, it's just read the VC. Like if they're just kind of nodding and like trailing off their vision a little, or they're just not bought in, cut it. Stop it right there, because they are getting less and less interested, and you're losing points at that point in time. And then keep it just short and sweet what you're doing. And then I read a bunch of sales books because I'm highly introverted, and one of the biggest takeaways was like, desperation does not sell. Desperation just looks terrible. And so the longer you're going, the more desperate you're looking, and it's sad for both of us probably. So don't do that. But I my heart goes out to them, and you want to be nice. It's another human being with a lot of passion. So respect. All that said, if you need to reach out to me, LinkedIn works. I respond to almost every message. If I don't, hit me up again in a day or two.
LinkedIn, that's good. LinkedIn. When we were in the break, we were talking a little bit about strategies for raising. Talk a little bit more about we were talking about grants, we were talking about different ways, we were talking about how to approach, but other top of mind strategies for raising. What would our audience who is raising now like to know that's kind of off the traditional beaten path of raising, hey, pick me, jumping on people's hoods and stuff like that? What would you trot out?
Yeah, I would say if whatever industry you're in, find someone who's really good and passionate about that industry and is transitioned to the advisor, mentor, investor role. Those are the people who generally have a checkbook that they can use, and they're knowledgeable enough about your sector to be able to invest in you. So you're finding the former you, if you will. And those are the people that really want to jump on board with that. And then aside from that, just be really organized and be able to tell a really good story. If you can do both of those, I'm excited about what you're doing, and I trust that you can actually do it.
I love that, because I need you to help me speak up for this demographic. Oftentimes, service providers, advisors are dismissed. But what you're saying is there's possibly not only a knowledge, but an angel check there or another introduction. And I see startup ecosystem like a chessboard. And you have the big pieces, right? And you have the pawns, but all are important to set you up for success. And that includes advisors and service providers that are often dismissed. So there's a strategy for talking to everybody. And there's just the good old just be kind to everybody strategy. But I like this incremental step into angel investing, because those early stage companies who are swinging for the fences, and I want to go back to talking about evaluation in a little bit, how to really lock that in, because the higher valuation oftentimes for startups is a stripe, but you got to really be careful with that. But this is really a great strategy in terms of getting those smaller checks, building that respect, and getting introduction. So I love that you said that. So same question, Chima. What are some off the beaten paths approach to raising, other than just, again, jumping on the hood of a car driven by a VC, banging on the window saying, pick me? What are some strategies that come to mind for you?
Yeah. You've heard ask for investment, get advice, ask for advice, get investment. Yeah. I love when a founder is telling me what they're doing and is just looking for like a quick, piece of advice of what they're doing. Because they already are on a trajectory. You have to always perceive it to the VC that you're already on the path. And it's like, this is what I'm doing and I'm trying to get here. Like, what piece of advice do you have? Because I don't feel like I'm being pitched now. I'm just like, oh, I can contribute from my own knowledge and expertise.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. It's like, that's amazing. Thank you. Can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Great. I have a newsletter and I would love to include you on it, and just to kind of keep you updated on what I'm doing and how we're progressing. That is easy, because I think the moment you start collecting a Rolodex of these VCs and they're following along with what you're doing, at some point when you're ready to raise, you may be already ready to raise right there, but I think you just want to give yourself a buffer of what those milestones and what those wins can be over the next few months. And then from there, now you can have a Rolodex of like 15, 20 VCs that you can now say, hey, we're opening up our round, and this is what we've achieved as they've been following, and they already know who you are. It's like now you've kind of already started like the dating process before the commitment. And I think that's the most important part, instead of just trying to pitch somebody right there, because nobody's just going to open up the check to somebody who seems desperate for the money. Yeah. And we don't like desperation. One thing I'll lastly say, and this is what I said to a founder at one of the panels that I was on with you, and it was, and I actually said it a little bit. I said it on the last one too, but I actually said this directly to a founder, and it was, with what you're doing, you're asking for investment. Would you bet majority of your net worth on this? And
on themselves.
On themselves. Yeah. Like right now, would you leverage your net worth on this? And if not, why would a VC do it then? It's just like, where's the conviction? And so I think that's something that some of the founders have to think about, is like, how much do I believe in this that I'm willing to risk it all for this thing? And if that's the case, then, then you can see that, okay, the VC is willing to do the same thing then.
Yeah, I love that's such great insight. And these little plays, it goes back to also saying, these little strategies that you can share and people should use, but back to the importance of being a strategic communicator, the empathy piece, and being able to build trust rapidly rather than grab the bag, right? A lot of people are just trying to like, hey, I need 1.2 million now. No, focus back to what you're saying. Focus on trust. You know, look for advice, get investment. Don't go looking for investment and then be overwhelmed by advice. I love that. We're getting close towards the end of the show, but I want to go back to this topic of valuation. Early stage companies obviously are going to have the struggle of valuation. Let's talk a little 101 on valuation. How should an early stage company look at valuation and then establish that valuation, especially looking long term? Because again, the higher they go, they're going to get themselves in trouble. But let's give a little quick 101 from your perspective on valuation, so they're not coming in there raising red flags with the numbers that they're kicking around, because you're not going to fool anybody. So Bryce, I'll start with you a little bit. You brought it up earlier about, you know, valuation. How should an early stage company be thinking about valuation?
Yeah, I would say as much as possible, you know, look at the industry standards for your specific sector. It's very sector specific. It's very kind of emotional at the early stages. And then I just can't kind of recommend safes enough and getting reasonable caps and reasonable discounts, because you never want to be the investor that gave money and then 2 years later they're raising again at the same level. And you're like, how did you think you were worth that much before? And how did I think you were worth that much before? But if you have a discount on a safe, you at least feel a little bit better about that. And then both parties are generally protected. So I really like that for early stages, whether it's, you know, 5 million, 10 million, whatever. And then I'll just make a note that like YC and, you know, A16Z and all these other big firms, they've really pushed up the initial valuations. You're seeing a lot of seeds at like 10, 15, 20 million dollars, when we just will not invest in those because we don't have enough capital or, you know, long-term, you know, support structure to be able to value those that highly. And I think that's a weird disparity that's happened in the industry. I think it's cooling off a little right now, but we watch out for that.
I should have asked this earlier, but this is kind of, do you guys just invest in companies coming out of UC, or you go outside of the UC system?
So our mandate, which is a funky one, but it's the company has to have a UC founder. If you graduated 20 years ago and you went to a UC, great. If you're going there now, great. Usually we do, I'd say about 2/3 are graduate students or alumni, maybe a little more, and then about 1/3 or a quarter are like undergraduates. But we see, you know, stats show if you're a second or third time founder, you just have a higher success rate.
Right.
So we like to use math as much as we can in our investment.
That. Yeah.
But yeah, we look for anyone with a UC founder or really early UC hire.
Okay. Interesting. Same question, Chima. We're talking a little bit about 101 valuations. How does Suncoast or your investments look at valuation, just kind of from a high level? Any insights that founders should know?
You know, Bryce took two things right from me.
My bad.
And it was the safe is a good indicator for one to get a baseline for where you're at, and then also look at the industry, look at other startups and what they've raised in there, so you have like an idea. But then also I think it's good to just have a strategic advisor on like that direction, because you may be overvaluing yourself, you may be undervaluing. So you need to have some type of guidance, because unless you're a repeat founder, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that as long as you have the proper guidance early, you won't make any of those mistakes.
I love that.
Yeah.
So again, wrapping up, last question I asked it earlier, but not only how can people connect with you, but what's next for you guys? 2026 is just kicking off. We're in Q1 still, but what's kind of in line for you next? Bryce, I'll start with you.
Yeah, we're kicking off our kind of second or continuation fund, so we're super excited about that. And you know, I moved back to the Bay middle of last year, so I'm just really excited to continue to build community with
you moved up
awesome
from
people.
You said earlier from down south, right?
Yeah, well, I lived in Puerto Rico for 4 years.
Oh, that's
in the
right,
middle.
Puerto
So
Rico,
yeah, that was cool.
What were you doing down there? Surfing?
Yeah, chilling, hanging out,
Nice.
some investing as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, it was a good time there, but super nice to be back here. There's so much happening up here. So yeah, excited to be building networking community, and then, you know, if people want to reach out, LinkedIn's a good spot for me.
Okay, good. Chima, what's next for you?
Yeah, and then if anyone wants to connect, LinkedIn is the best for me. Shoot me a DM. So on the side of Suncoast, we are wrapping up our next funding round. And, I know this is like an era where even VCs are on the hunt for, completing their next funding rounds as well, too. Mm-hmm. The game has changed now. VC startups, it's a different ball game now. For me personally, I remember we talked about 2 projects of mine. One, I'm going back into like a food product, consumer packaged goods. I'm taking on, if you guys have heard of the company Popcorners, the little popcorn chips.
They're so good.
Yeah. So I found the machine of 2 months of digging, and I'm working with 2 of my old employees from my cafe. And I found the machine in South Korea of like what makes them. And so I'll show you a picture of how it's coming along. So yeah, while I'm doing that. So we're making a more vibrant, healthier version. So Popcorners has like sunflower oil, and we're going to do it with avocado oil.
Nice.
They have a sea salt flavor. We're going to do Himalayan salt. And then anything that has to do with, like, they have a kettle corn, we're going to do it with coconut sugar. So we're doing like more healthier, organic and whatnot, because I was in Whole Foods and the popcorn section, there's like 10 different brands, but surprisingly, they're all doing like average $500 million in sales. Popcorners is the only one in their category that's doing the popcorn chips. And I thought, like, I can do that. I know I have a warehouse. I have a manufacturing facility in Santa Clara with another product my colleague took over. And I'm like, I can put that machine there and kind of do this and just roll it out. And I already have the manufacturing taken care of, and I have the sales and marketing taken care of. So I was like, all right, let me kick that off. So it's actually launching end of April.
I don't know if you want me to ask this question, but I'm super curious about it. Retail is super, super competitive. Mm-hmm. You said you have it taken care of, but if someone was getting into retail, what would be your advice on cracking their way into that distribution channel of, because Whole Foods, that's the big, or Costco or anything. How could someone get into that with it being so competitive? Yeah.
So you have to look at what you're putting out there. It's what's your competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. I found as Bryce, acknowledged, Popcorners is delicious. Yeah. But I kind of hesitate because I heard, seed oils aren't great. So not trying to knock Popcorners, but I love everything that has avocado oil.
No, I want to upgrade to your product.
Yeah. This is how it's looking like. So our designer's going to finish off. We called it Pomp.
Very cool.
So
Pomp.
Yeah. So I love the idea, the wordplay of if you
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, if you flip the P's, it'll say.
Still, Brian.
Okay, you zoom in.
Yeah, I'm about as zoomed in as I can. We'll see if we can't. Yeah, that's about as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any? Did you bring any with you?
Oh no. So I'll have the samples for you.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I like with that, because one of the hardest things for even tech companies is naming your company, and I was like, okay, I want something simple, 4 letters, and I thought of Pomp because if you flip the P's, it's like bomb. And I was like, you can do the whole like wordplay. Pomp is bomb, or if you like, we put the in pop. So I thought there was like so many words.
Say Bob.
No. Okay.
I know. I was going with pomp.
Yeah.
Pump it up.
Yeah. So I went to South Korea just last month, and I went there to inspect the machine. The machine is here. We're producing, and so I'm bootstrapping that. And I was mentioning that I love the idea of bootstrapping. I've told a lot of founders, and I said that in the last panel, people should be bootstrapping. If you can't raise funds, that shouldn't be the end all be all. Get it to a point where you can get some VC interest and then start growing it.
They're never going to forget you here on Silicon Valley Impact, because we now are officially the official show of Pop.
I'll bring a whole bunch of
Silicon Valley Impact.
We're gonna be chewing into the microphone, and you all will never forget.
That's how you dip it in sauce.
Amen. Amen. All right, this has been a lot of fun having you guys here today. Chima, they can connect with you on LinkedIn. Awesome. Bryce, they can connect with you on LinkedIn. I want to thank you both for being here. You've been so much fun, so insightful. You guys are awesome people. And again, if you are an awesome person and you are playing in this sandbox and you are an investor, startup, subject matter expert, we'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to bring you into this ecosystem. But for all of you who are listening, we love having you here. Brian, great show.
Thank you, Brian. You too.
All right.
Wonderful to have you guys here. Thank you.
We'll see you all next week. Stay safe. See you soon.